What is up, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube? That is right. I am Chris Smith, and today we're going to be talking about Luther. If you don't know Luther, then go ahead, look it up. It is a fantastic show. If you're a fan of Idris Elba, it's some of his best work he's got out there. But let's talk about this. This is season 4, or series 4 for the people in the UK, episode 1. Now, this episode pretty much kicks off exactly where we left off for the last season, where Ripley is dead, and now he's chasing down after this guy, and he eventually leads up to Alice. That eventually kind of leaves the question, well, what happens now? Is he going to be with Alice? Is he going to not be with Alice? And then that's kind of where we kick off. Now, one thing I did like about this episode was that John Luther is pretty much just completely lost. This guy has kind of nothing left, really. He lost his ex, he lost his friend, he's lost other people, everybody's kind of left him in some way. And if you're a gamer, you may know this reference, but he's kind of like Max Payne. He's a guy that kind of keeps going down the rabbit hole, and he keeps going into worse situations for himself. Now, you still love him for it, but at the exact same time, you want this guy to kind of have a happy ending, at least, because he's been through a lot of shit. But that's kind of how it is. Now, for this episode, it pretty much kicks off where two cops are coming to Luther, asking him questions about Alice Morgan, about when was the last time he saw her, when was the last time they spoke, whatever. And then it turns out that Alice Morgan is actually dead. They show him some pictures and whatnot. He doesn't believe it. He thinks either it's an accident or a fake or a ruse, but he's trying to figure it out or whatever. But it turns out that they're trying to figure out something, because obviously you can kind of see, and when they're kind of like telling him Alice is dead, you can kind of see in his face that Luther really did care for Alice. He's crushed. Like, even though they were wrong for each other in some way, obviously because of what she did to her parents and whatnot, she's a bit wacko. But at the exact same time, it almost seems as if he was never happier than when he was with Alice, which is something kind of interesting. There are two wrongs that slightly make a right for each other, at least. But that's something, and I think that's what this episode pretty much kind of showed. Also, once that kind of goes down and the cops kind of leave, he pretty much goes on this like one-man crusade once again, looking for Alice's killer, because he doesn't believe that she's dead. He believes it's an accident. He's going to try to get down to the bottom of this. Now, some things that I don't really like. Yes, Ripley was dead, and I enjoyed their flashback to kind of talking about how falling and whatnot. I really enjoyed that because it kind of showed that Luther is kind of messed up. He's a bit messed up. He's always been, really, but not only that, but when they showed Luther trying to live a normal life, you can tell it's eating him alive. He does not like just like sitting around and buying groceries and just looking at the damn sunset. He needs that urge. He needs that itch to get back. And for quite a few minutes of pretty much most of the episode, he's not even wearing his iconic suit. The gray and the red tie. He's not even wearing that. So that alone kind of shows that he's a bit lost right now, especially with that Alice Morgan's alleged death. Now, granted, I was saying to myself, if she's dead, right, how do you kill one of the best parts of the series? Now, granted, once she kind of got off the series, it kind of went a little bit there. It went well, but just she's like Lex Luthor on Smallville. Without her, the show kind of went a little bit off a bit. But that's just me. Also, there's a cannibal on the loose, and they're trying to help him out. He still has a job, but he's a bit on a break. So when that happens, eventually when the cannibal kind of kills one of the fellow officers that were questioning him, he decides to finally get back in the game, and he's like, all right, fuck it, I'm bringing it out. I have to get back in it. So he brings up the suit. He's back in the game. He's tracking this killer down. At the same time, he's looking for Alice's alleged killer, because that's the thing about Luther. There's always kind of like two stories kind of paralleling each other. But it was good to see that suit back, right? One thing I did know is that once one of the cops did die, the girl that's working with the cop was trying to go a bit on the edge, trying to do whatever means necessary to catch the cannibal. But Luther, you can show a bit of progression that, he didn't want anybody trying to cut corners. He said, if you cut corners, then I'm just going to have to, write you up and whatnot. So I liked that it showed that Luther's growing a bit. But then again, he never really tried to bring any of the people down with him, per se. He always tried to do it on his own. He never tried to make Ripley, do things that he didn't want to do. He pretty much just did it on his own. So I enjoyed that it showed that, Luther's actually kind of growing a bit. So I thought that was good. Not only that, but if Alice was dead, killing her from the sidelines, just kind of like during a break would have been really kind of stupid on their behalf, especially since she was one of the main parts that made the show interesting. Luther and Alice's relationship was probably one of the more interesting parts of the show. Also, some things that I did not like. I'm not a big fan of when they kind of switched cast members. Like in the first season, it was the lady, and then obviously his friend that was the killer or whatnot. But when they kind of switch it up, it kind of takes it a bit out of there. So I was just like, yes, they have his boss, Luther's boss is in here, but he's not that great to kind of continue on. They should have kept Ripley, or at least the black officer from the series 3. They should have at least brought her in to at least kind of add a bit continuity. But hey, if they killed off Alice, I feel like that's a big mishap. Some things that did not really work in here is that with the serial killer kind of slash home invader, I feel like they're kind of going in the same direction that this entire series has been. Now, granted, you can be like, well, that's kind of the theme of this show, and then maybe if it is, then it is. But it just seems like they are kind of rehashing the same thing over and over. But Luther goes in his thing. He's tracking the cannibal down and whatnot. And then he goes into this place, and then, once again, kind of like in the cliche thing, he sees, the guy face to face, because he always does this with all the killers. He sees him face to face, and he's like, oh, you got to stop. And he tries to reason with them, but obviously things go wrong and whatnot. So, yeah, it kind of rehashes the same thing. Also, I don't know who that woman was in Luther's place at the very beginning. That should be interesting. I think it's the woman that I'm about to talk about later on, but I don't know who that woman is, but that should be interesting to see who she is. But yes, it was very cool. Eventually, when he did get back to work, when he put on that iconic suit, to me, it's iconic at least. When he put on that iconic gray and red tie, that was a very cool moment. But yes, when he eventually tracked to the serial killer, says like his base and whatnot, then you kind of see that, they do the cliche thing where he's just like standing and then the train is going by and then he's gone. I was just like, maybe they're not going to do the cliche thing, but they do the cliche thing. But then it ends with a woman looking for Luther, and specifically Luther, and she says, I have a message from Alice Morgan. Luther looks up, he's like, what? I thought Alice was dead. And then that's where we end off. Now, granted, I really enjoyed this episode, but at the exact same time, there were some things that need to be addressed. Now, granted, if this is the end, if this is the final season of Luther, then I kind of wish, one, she better not be dead and not just be just a damn message, because that would suck. And two, I really kind of wish they went a bit of a different way than kind of this typical, home invader or serial killer thing. Yes, the cannibalism is new, yeah, but at the exact same time, it still kind of feels a bit rehashed. But yes, Luther's back. Idris Elba is fantastic, and if you don't see Luther, then it's okay. But if you're a giant fan of Idris Elba, watch Luther. Go ahead. It's a fantastic show. It's only 4 seasons, about 13 episodes in all. So it could be easily done. Just binge watch it. It's fantastic. I'm looking forward to the next episode. So let's see. Hopefully Alice is not dead, but whatever. This is my review. I messed up right there. This is my review. Comment, subscribe, like. I'm Chris Smith. I'm signing out.